Resources are now available for area nonprofits. Kenya Ross is here with how 3 groups are joining forces to help out. Kenya?
That's right, Jennifer. It's a joint partnership between the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, United Way of Northeast Louisiana, and the City of Monroe. They've launched a new program to improve the nonprofit sector throughout 12 parishes.
So I think when it comes to the nonprofit organization and operations, one of the most challenging things that an organization can face is just understanding all the compliance issues that a nonprofit must have.
The United Way of Northeast Louisiana, Monroe Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Monroe launched its nonprofit capacity building training program to advance the nonprofit sector throughout the region. United Way of NELA's Vice President of Strategy says nonprofits build up the local economy by strengthening the people who live in it.
It helps people in many different ways, whether it is with basic needs, whether it's with the arts, whether it is with educational services. There are so many different ways that a nonprofit can reach out into the community, strengthen the community, and make it a better place to live.
Nonprofit organizations that choose to go through the program will receive training in areas such as impact measurement, strategic planning, and fundraising.
Our program is not only going to help those that are in the beginning stages that haven't formed their nonprofits yet, but it's also going to help those that maybe have, and it's going to look into some of the best practices that that are important, but it's also looking at foundational things like your board of directors, how many people are on your board of directors, what your bylaws look like.
And on KNOE.com, we'll show nonprofit leaders where to get signed up for the program. Jennifer?